The controversy over a demand by Houston officials that a group of pastors there turn over their sermons and other communications is far from over. It all stems from the passage and attempted repeal of a controversial ordinance that would allow, among other things, people of either gender to enter men's or women's restrooms based on the gender they most identify with. Well, debate over the ordinance aside, critics say Houston officials are trying to intimidate Christian pastors and trample religious freedom in a way that should alarm all Americans. Joining me now is Eric Metaxas, author of a new book called Miracles, What They Are, Why They Happen, and How They Can Change Your Life. He's been a very vocal voice in this. Eric, great to have you with us today.
Well, it is great to be here, and if ever there was something for Americans, all Americans, but especially people of faith, to scream and shout about, it's what the Houston mayor did about a week ago. I couldn't actually believe my eyes when I read it on the internet. I said, this has to be a joke. This cannot be happening in America. Everybody needs to be aware that this is serious.
Well, and you have written some New York Times bestsellers, among them Bonhoeffer, which details a lot of what was going on in the 1930s. And I know that you have said in this case you see parallels.
It's a shocking thing, and maybe people think I'm crazy. I hope Jon Stewart, has this clip on to mock me. But I'm telling you, the parallels are chilling. When I read that an American member of government, the mayor of Houston, dared in the United States of America to demand that pastors would show their sermons, I said, this cannot be happening. This is America. We have had religion, we have had freedom of religion at the heart of all of our religions. The founders understood that this was not just like an extra. This was at the heart of everything. And when you have officials in our government who don't get this and who would dare to say that pastors have to turn in their sermons, everyone in America should be freaking out. This is like a bold red line. If there was ever a time to throw the tea into the harbor, this is it.
Well, and it may be Bibles instead of tea this time around, because I know that you have advocated for the fact that, as some others have said, listen, they want every pastor out there to mail their sermons to Houston, to the mayor. But a lot of folks are calling, and you've called for Bibles to be sent as well. Do you think that would be well received there, or do you think, it's only going to inflame the situation?
I don't care. There's a time to inflame the situation. What this mayor has done, everyone in America needs to understand that this is mind-blowing. We're busy. We've got a lot of other issues to focus on. And so in the middle of it, this thing kind of gets slipped in. This is a big deal. The mayor of Houston, and every mayor in America, every governor, every member of Congress needs to understand that this cannot be tolerated. If we tolerate this kind of abrogation of religious freedom in this nation, all of our liberties will be unraveled. It is that serious. I hate to be the Cassandra. I hate to be sounding incendiary, but this is really that serious. And America needs to wake up. The church especially needs to know that this is a huge trampling of something that the founders said was at the heart of all of our liberties, all of our liberties. So this is a big deal. It
is also a big deal. Your new book coming out this week. I want to talk about that, too, because we've been asking people to share with us about their miracles, and we've gotten quite a flood of response. It's a book that seems like it has the chance to be potentially uplifting. But what about to people who say, I don't believe in miracles? Would they get something from this book as well?
Let me just tell you, I wrote the book for those people. This week, actually, just the other day, I was in Dallas, and I heard from two atheists who'd been given the book by friends, and the atheist response was so positive, I was shocked. I said, this is the best news that I heard all week, because I didn't write this book just for people who believe in miracles. I come at the whole thing open-minded and yet skeptical. I said, in this country, I think we don't really have a healthy conversation about these subjects. We need to have, on the one hand, an open-mindedness. When people are really cynical and when people say, oh, this couldn't even happen, that's childish and irrational. Of course, the most humble answer is we don't know. But then there are people who are too gullible, who say that, everything's a miracle. I said, we need to have a sober, civil conversation so both sides can come together and talk about, number one, what is a miracle? Why would they happen in some cases and not in other cases? I mean, if my relative dies, why didn't those prayers get answered? Why didn't we have a miracle there? And then you're telling me, God gave you a parking space this morning. I think we need to have those kinds of conversations, and that's what this book is about. The first half is about that. The second half is actual miracle stories from people that I know personally, so I can vouch for their credibility. Some of these stories are so amazing. I said, I can't wait to hear what people think when they read these stories. But these are people I know, so I don't doubt these happened.
We're out of time, so we got to leave it there. Eric, thank you so much.